just to remind you all then, we're a medtech company based in Wellington, New Zealand. We are software as a service. We focus really on the early detection of breast cancer. A lot of the early work was out of my PhD. So yeah, feel free to ask questions around the science, the commercial aspects, or whatever element you want to dive into. We are, as you guys know, we've got FDA, we've got CE, we've got TGA. We actually got another FDA clearance very recently, which we'll come back to at the end of this talk, which clears the way for us to introduce a whole range of new products. So that was an exciting moment for us. We've got users in over 36 countries and something like 275 publications now. One of the reasons I'm in Melbourne this week is there's a big breast density conference just down the road at the Royal Melbourne or Victoria Cancer Centre. And I'd urge you all, if you want to learn more about what we do in breast density, there's a public talk tonight by Sir Jack Cusick. And then there's a 2-day breast density conference. It's a great opportunity for you guys here, especially in Melbourne, to come along and really learn from the experts and see the impact that we're making in that space. We're into the commercial realm. We're selling well now into the US. Q1 was excellent for us, and a lot of the numbers in here are Q1 numbers. So we're up to 3.7% of women in the US at the end of Q1, around $4.5 million of annual recurring revenue at the end of Q1. We're coming up with the Q2 results towards the end of this month. Importantly, for a software company, or indeed any company, we're getting good gross margins, around the 70% and increasing. So that kind of gives us the fundamentals to be a profitable company going forward. We're seeing good uptake then in the US because we are first movers. There's strong regulatory pressure on what we do, and there's lots of kind of legal requirements now around what we do as well, which are really helping us generate many leads and many sales. So I'll come back to the capital raise and progress on that towards the end. So yeah, just to remind you then, the Volpara mission, reduce mortality and cost of breast cancer through software to allow control of high-quality screening, diagnosis, and treatment. One of the talks you're going to hear tonight by Jack Cusick down the road here in Melbourne is all about prevention of breast cancer. And one of the things he's going to talk about in prevention of breast cancer, which obviously is would be a fantastic goal, is identification of high-risk women and then giving them appropriate treatment to actually reduce their risk. And then the way he's going to talk again tonight, the way you know that risk is actually reducing is if their breast density, which we're one of the world's leaders of measuring, is reducing. So his concept is use breast density and other risk factors to identify high-risk women, give them drugs to reduce risk and measure the reduction in that risk using breast density, using tools such as we've generated over the last 15, 20 years. So, we are world leaders in, as you see on the screen there, breast density measurement, breast positioning. When you take mammograms, you want the nipple has to be in profile. You want the left and right breast to look symmetric. You want the pectoral muscle, which is this part of the breast or the arm up there on the images. You want that to be well imaged as well. Otherwise, there's a possibility you're going to miss the cancer. Right the way through then to measuring. We're the world leaders now in measuring breast compression to make sure there's enough breast compression that you get a good quality image and low radiation dose, but it's not too hard that the woman never comes back again because of pain. And then at the bottom there, also we've become world leaders in measuring radiation dose as well. So we are pretty unique in this space. We do have competition in the density, but we're unique in the other space. And one of our key differentiators right from the start has been we work on GE, Hologic, Siemens X-ray equipment. So we devised our algorithms, our AI algorithms, to work on any X-ray vendor right from day one. So just a quick snapshot of breast density. So on the left there are multiple different breasts from the, I'm not sure if you can see the mouse, probably not. Bottom left is a very fatty breast, it's very dark. And at the top right there is a very white breast, it's very dense. That one has a much higher risk of developing cancer. Also much higher risk it's going to be missed using X-rays. So our tool there generates those scorecards you see up there on the top right. If you go down to Imaging Associates or MIA down the road at Monash, you will see all the women there will be getting these little scorecards out. And those women here in Australia and throughout a lot of the US will be getting told, we've done X-ray, we can't see any sign of cancer, however, you do have dense breasts. So whilst you're here, we're going to do ultrasound on you, or we're going to do MRI on you, just to be sure that there's no signs of cancer in the breast. Again, breast density has become very important. 88% now of women in the US get told breast density every time they're screened. And there's two big breast density conferences. There's one in San Francisco every other year, and there's one in Australia. And the one in Australia then is down the road starting tomorrow. So you guys here have that unique opportunity to walk down the road and see that in action. We are world leaders then in that density space, and as we moved into that space, we were getting users saying to us, well, that's great, you're telling us all this information about individual women. Can you start to pull all the data together? And so that really led us to Volpara Enterprise, which is our cloud-based imaging analytics platform, which you'll see on the screen there. So all the data from our on-site software that computes density goes up into the cloud, and you can then log in. The breast imaging manager can then log in, and she can see what each of her staff are doing, what each of the X-ray machines are doing, so she can spot issues early. Mrs. Smith, you're overcompressing the breast, which is why everyone's complaining about your performance. Or, hey, GE, your X-ray machine over here is not working properly. We need you to come in and fix it urgently. So we've gone from this kind of clinical decision tool up into a practice management software, fundamentally, with Volpara Enterprise. And over the last year in particular, we've gone from kind of early adopters into having lots of very good case studies coming through, and that's really helping us drive up the price that we can start charging for Volpara Enterprise. And I'll come back again to that in a minute. We are getting quite strong Australia and New Zealand adoption now, so multiple sites around Adelaide, Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne and so on. We are getting quite bullish now about Australia. Anton Zell, our VP Sales, based down here in Melbourne, really is making a lot of progress around Australia, and we hope to make some more announcements in due course. This shows one of the case studies. This is Mayfair up in Canada. They've been using Enterprise for 18 months now, and they've started to see some remarkable scenarios in terms of improved patient care, but also improved profitability for their site. So, right from the top then, each year they have to select so many cases to send to a body to get accredited as doing high-quality mammograms. With Enterprise, they can log on, get a list of high-quality images, grab them and just send them off. They don't have to search for hours or days looking for those images. They're seeing a big increase in target compression, so the women there are getting much more comfortable exams. But also importantly, down the bottom of that screen there, you'll see this site here saw a 14% reduction in technical recalls. A technical recall is where a woman has an X-ray done, she goes home, and you call her up and say, Mrs. Smith, the X-ray wasn't very good. Please come back in again. We want to retake it. Each time that woman has to come back, she gets annoyed because it's kind of another day out of her schedule. But also the site loses $150 per time it does that. So every single reduction in that is a good return on investment story for the site. Just in terms of, so we are software as a service. For the first year, we were getting around $2 per woman for Volpara Enterprise. Over the last 6 to 9 months, that has gone up towards $2.50 and upwards. So we're seeing a bit, an uptick, and we're putting that down to moving away from the early adopters where we've been trying to get deals done, to be able to walk in the door with all these case studies showing return on investment stories ready to go. So at the end of Q1, we're up to 4.46 million annual recurring revenue. But also, very importantly, we had well over 1 million women coming into the cloud, which has given us a huge resource for big data analysis and AI analysis going forward. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one. The half-year results will be out in November. But it's very pleasing as a software as a service company to now be seeing annual recurring revenues and stuff coming on strongly into accounting revenues and so on. That's kind of what's so encouraging about some of these results from earlier this year. Just in terms of some of the corporate overview, we did the fundraising this year in April, and we were with the help of Scott and Morgans and others, we actually brought on a whole pile of institutes onto the register for the first time, which is very promising. The share price has been very strong over the last few days, and part of that we put down to some excellent research that came out on us. But the other aspect was, as it went kind of public a bit earlier today, was that one of those institutes went to be a significant holder a few hours ago. So that was put onto the ASX a bit earlier today. So I'm going to go into some of the recent achievements. So, we raised 20 million earlier this year. We did that for various reasons. One then was to build out our US market share. We've now got 15 direct salespeople on the ground, very high quality salespeople in the US who are all coming up to speed very rapidly. We've recognised some of the landscape in the US is moving towards more vigilance, for example, around information security. So over the last few months, we've got ISO 27001 information security certification, which has really helped us with some of the IT contracts we have to go through. But also, it really helps now with FDA as well. Yeah, the FDA is getting very vigilant on cyber security. We are very much still targeting that $9 million of annual recurring revenue. And at $2.08 ARPU, that would have equated to around 9% of the US market coming into our software. If we can get the ARPU up, then that percentage obviously will need to be or could be lower. Also then, as part of that market share, we want to build the sales team, we want to increase ARPU by case studies, better marketing, but also by then generating new products. So on the bottom right-hand side here of the screen, you'll see this is one of our sales guys, Dana, over in California. And the little screen there you see is a little iPad, and that's a mammogram, and that's the alpha version of what we're calling Volpara Live, real-time quality control. So instead of having all this information in the cloud, we're actually pulling some of that back down. So within seconds after the X-ray is done, it flashes up and says, good image or bad image, i.e. bad image, retake whilst the woman is here. Okay. So far, I have to say it's been very positive alpha site feedback. We are now moving, we've got the FDA clearance, that's what we announced about 3 weeks ago, to actually pull that through now into the market. So we're full out now, finishing off the engineering, finishing off the testing, to actually pull that right through into clinical practice with a view to start selling later this year. We've expanded then the service, the team really in Wellington now, up to kind of a more decent size for a FDA kind of quality delivery service. And we're really focusing then on that real-time quality control. We're trying to expand into surgery, where we've got lots of users moving into surgery now. But also, we're really expanding our machine learning capabilities based on all that data we've got now. People always ask me to give them some examples of what we're going to do on machine learning. A couple of things. One of the issues we've had with density over the years has been pacemakers appear in the breast. And these are extremely white objects, and they mess up the density scores. And we've never had enough cases before that we could devise algorithms to remove these pacemakers from the breast before we do the density scores. We've now got a million images in the cloud. That means we've got enough pacemakers in there to actually devise algorithms to remove it and improve density. And the other thing which we're real excited about is, for the first time now, we've got a huge pool of data, and we're getting these women year on year on year coming back to our service. So for the first time, we can start to really track change over time in the breast. So going back down to some of Jack Kuzik's vision of where breast cancer screening is going, Jack is going to talk tonight all about prevention. He wants to give drugs, and he wants to see breast density reducing over time. For the first time now, we've got the tools and the ability to actually start measuring reliably density change over time. Okay? So it's playing very nicely into hit this vision of prevention. We want to do more in Asia, and expanding the US team has really helped free up the APAC team. So we've got some good trials going underway now in Singapore, and we've got some good trials underway now in Japan with a major OEM. So our aim there, we're very happy with our agents in Japan and Taiwan, but it's become very clear to us that they're great for getting luminaries, but to get to the big markets in those countries, you need a big OEM with their partnerships, and their relationships.